What's up, everybody? We're back. Matt and I are here, round two. Dude, I'm glad that we're able to make this happen. There's been a lot going on since we spoke last time with not only you, but the economy, your trading, your health. I think just the state of everything going on. So from the feedback that we got from round one, I was like, dude, we got to continue this conversation and
Yeah,
continue even past today if we need to, because I think people are really appreciate your they are appreciating your perspective, not just on trading, not just on investing and where to put your money, how to spend your time, but they're also appreciating like the political perspective that you and I are bringing
yeah,
to people as well.
yeah.
So I wanted to cover like a lot today. I told you before, I want to talk about the lifestyle, the health, everything that you've kind of been making changes there. I want to talk about that huge trade that you had. What was that, last week?
No, it was Monday.
Monday. So even this week. So I want to talk about that. And I even want to go into some of the stuff that you're posting on Instagram with the one percenters group and how that content is even educating people that have, normally been, I think, closed-minded to stuff like that. I
Yeah,
think you're kind of converting some people, you're waking people up with your content.
yeah,
And I appreciate that a lot, man. So I
yeah.
appreciate you being here. I know the YouTube community appreciates you being here, but I want to start today with the health stuff because I think that that's going to kind of stem us then into the trade. And I think because it all starts there, at least for me, I find that if I can keep my mind and my body balanced, the trading, the decisions that I'm making in my business, they seem to go
Yeah.
well as well.
Well, to be completely transparent with everything,
Yeah.
I've always been a bit of a health junkie, but
Okay.
let me be relatable. I was in a 9-year relationship, so I got comfortable, right? That's basically a marriage, let's say.
It happens. Yep.
When things like that end and shake up your life, you make
Mhm.
changes. And I
Absolutely.
know our audience is roughly around our age, so a lot of us have been in and out of relationships. So this might be relatable for whoever may be watching. I don't know who needs to hear this, but when you get comfortable, that's when you seize all your growth. And I had gotten comfortable. My trading was lousy, one percenters, it was, whatever. I just wasn't taking anything too serious because I was so comfortable. But the moment it came to an end, I realized like, whoa, com- being comfortable is not going to get me where I need to go. And
Right.
I'm approaching my 30s and I'm not doing nothing. So let me turn on the furnace. Started taking the gym serious. Started taking dieting serious. I'm really big on nutrition, and I get gotten tons of messages on what to do with losing fat. A lot of people say, "Oh, how do I lose belly fat?" But first and foremost, science. You cannot target a specific area just to lose fat. Your body will lose it as a whole.
Right.
What I like to do for my nutrition is I carb cycle. So depending on what my caloric um, intake is, depends on what I do that day. So if I'm being highly active, I'm going to up my carbohydrate intake. If I'm being
Right.
neutral to, I'm not doing any activity, my carbs are going to dramatically decrease alongside my calories. So I expand more than I intake. By default, science, you're just going to lose fat, period. And
Of
I've lost
course.
tons of fat. I had a dad bod, let's say. Yeah, I put it on my Instagram. It's out there.
I
They could
saw that
see.
picture, bro. I
Yeah,
saw that picture.
I was out of shape. I really was.
But it's impressive, bro. It shows that it's interesting to see the transition because I mean, a lot of people would check out. That's what my biggest fear is. Like, I'm in pretty good shape, and I've managed to stay in
Great.
good shape since I've been in high school. And it's cool, and I've been very grateful for that. But it does, number one, start with diet. In high school, it's when I cut out fast food. I started making my own lunches, chicken, vegetables, very, normal, not fake stuff. And that really makes a difference too, I
Yeah,
think, in the way that you look and the
I,
way that you perform.
yeah.
But I fear getting to the point where I get out of shape and then have to get back into it because I know how hard that can be to
So hard.
mentally do. And then to go from where some people are to doing what you're doing, it's going to seem impossible where you're doing 2, 3 hours in the gym, two
Yeah,
cardio sessions a day.
yeah.
So, I mean, you're going to always say the first thing is what? Step one is just taking that first day into the gym.
For me, my step one
Yeah.
is getting shaken up. Everyone can say, "Oh, just go work out, just go do
What
it."
shook you up?
If the
The
relationship,
girl? Yeah.
single after nine
Yep.
years, I'm like, whoa, 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 hold on, I'm fat. I need to make money. Like, I can't be single and be like this right now. I need to be.
Bro, I feel that. Absolutely. Because I think every guy listening, well, and maybe girls too, I can't speak for them, but I think every guy that's over 25 is going to be able to relate to that. They're going to say, yo, I know that one girl that I was dating when we broke up. I came back better than ever. I went through a big transition. And it's interesting to see that. But I think
Mhm.
being aware of that, it probably allowed you to lean into it even better. And you're like, yes,
Yeah,
this is where I'm growing. And it's okay that it's hard because this is where I'm going to grow.
Yeah, I feel like your progress is going to be as big as your why. And my why was so big, like, holy shit, I'm single, I'm out of shape, my trading's average, everything's so average. And that was a huge why for me. Like, whoa, 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 I need to wake the fuck up, grab this horse by the neck and really ride
Right,
this thing out and
right,
take control of everything. And
right.
I say it all the time, it takes a woman leaving a boy to turn that boy into a man. And that's what happened to me.
It's a good quote, bro. That's a really good quote.
Yeah. So I mean, hey, you got a trooper. Riley's amazing. I see the work she does. You guys are a
She
power.
is.
I look up to you guys. You guys are killing it.
Thank
I
you.
really
Well,
appreciate you guys'
I'll give you
content.
something about, and I appreciate that, and I know she appreciates that too. I think the reason that Riley and I work so well together is because her and I individually have gone through basically what you're saying, that breakup and then that self transformation. Both have gone through that multiple times on our own. So when we met each other, we were very individualistic off the jump. It just happened to be that we balance our strengths and weaknesses really well, and we get along, and we're very common, and we share a lot of commonalities too, so it works well for us. But I think everybody can find that partner. I also just think a lot of the people I see stay in relationships that are clearly not functioning relationships, and they linger in them too long. So it's important to just cut the cord and really, like I said, lean into, I think, the self transformation, and then it can kind of stem into you becoming the better version of yourself, whether
That's
it's
what I do.
physically,
Yep.
mentally, even in your business now. So with the
Yep.
one percenters, when you, will just to say it lightly, when you cut her loose, how did the one percenters really change? And what was the first couple of things that you did there? It wasn't just let me come up with some t-shirts. It was
Yeah.
more than that, I'm sure.
Yeah. So actually, she cut me loose, but either way, it was a
Either
relationship.
way, the string is cut.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, I was doing and I realized it after. I was doing this whole thing to try and make somebody else, comfortable.
Hmm.
But once that person left, it's like, whoa, hold on. Now, why am I doing this stuff? And now it all came back to I'm doing it for me. So
Right.
now everything has changed. Like, now that it's for me, I need to make it fucking work. When it was for someone else, I was like, oh, I'll get to it. But no, you're never going
Interesting.
to get to it. You got to grab it,
Right. At some point, you have to take the bull by the horns and push it forward. So what did you
Exactly.
do with the one percenters once you newly single? How long ago was that?
About 6 months. I
Okay,
don't
so
even, yeah. I don't know, five, something like that, around there.
So 6 months ago, what was the biggest change that you went through with your trading business and with the one percenters? Where did you decide to drive the ship differently? Was that when you started looking at these really strange investments like that stock that you crushed last week or on Monday,
No,
excuse me?
we'll get to that, but that was actually because I was sick on the couch and I had nothing better to do with my time. But we'll get to that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what actually happened? The biggest change was she was living with me at the time, and when she left, Dijon came in to live with me, and he's my business partner slash best friend. So
Yep.
the workload in production was just tenfold. All we
Mm,
did was research, 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 research. We would reallocate our portfolios, constantly diversifying into many different things. We'd wake up, we'd trade, we'd do whatever it is we had to do. We'd work on designs, we'd work on the Shopify store, we'd work on the website. And it's like
mm,
like I said, when you're doing it for yourself, there's a different drive, there's a different ambition behind what's pushing you, and
right.
that's really what happened with me.
It's an interesting perspective, and I feel like it also points to the fact that, like what I said, Riley does. We balance our strengths and weaknesses well. You needed a partner, not necessarily a girlfriend or a
Yeah,
wife or whatever. You needed a business partner that was going to balance your weaknesses with their strengths, and I think that's why you guys have been able to pump out so much content. And the content, like I said at the beginning, it's very professional. It comes off like it's not like you're sitting at home throwing a meme together in 10 minutes and just posting this thing. There's like a lot
yeah,
of there's thought into it, and you can tell there's research into it, and that's the
yeah.
kind of content that creates traction. Why do you think it took the breakup to get you to that point? Is it just because you think you have to hit a wall before things change, and that's how change happens for anything?
I think for me, I even looked into my astrology chart. So I'm kind of a spiritual person. People
So
may
am
not
I.
know that.
Yeah, no, so
Okay,
am I. I believe in it too.
I'm pretty spiritual. So I actually looked at my astrology chart, and it actually said I need something to change for me to make a change. And I wouldn't do it on
Mm,
my own. I get too comfortable. And that's what happened, I was too comfortable. Someone else made the change for me, and that just triggered
that's it. Yeah.
Wildfire. That was it. Yeah, that was it. I was like, holy shit. I
Interesting.
looked at myself. I looked like shit. My finances weren't correct. I'm like, it's time. It's time.
Did you see then as you went through like the next couple of weeks and months to leading to today, and you transitioned in the gym and you started to take the fitness and that stuff more serious, did that transition into I'm making better trading decisions, or what specifically helped you make better business and trading decisions? Do you think it was the discipline that you were exercising at the gym?
I think it's definitely a combination of everything because being so regime in my resume, like the things that I'm doing so rigid, I think
Yeah,
that it allowed me to be in the right place at the right time
fair.
rather than
That makes
lollygagging
sense.
and letting things slip past me.
That
You know,
makes sense.
I have 3 whiteboards in my room and I write every freaking thing down from the moment I step out of this bed to I'm on the road.
Yep, I'm with that 100%. I have two in the office that I just put up yesterday. So
Yeah.
tell me, let's transition into this trade. I want to hear about this, the research that you guys are putting into this. Now, I know it's a helium-based company. Do
Yeah.
you want to give us like just some context on why helium? Normally, people are looking at silver, they're looking at gold, they're looking at platinum. They're not looking at helium. It's an
Yeah.
interesting idea.
I mean, all right. So I'm somebody that sees value, and I
Sure.
think to see value, you need to understand what gives something value, and it all comes back to supply and demand. And commodities always, for the most part, have a fixed supply, and they always have X amount of demand. So when you
Right.
look at a commodity like helium, it is highly, highly used. It's in MRI machines. It's in
Right. That's what you're saying. A lot of medical equipment.
exactly. It's in airplanes. It's in everything because of its periodic table makeup. The way it is, it can't boil. So it's very utilized for cooling. For a lot of the list goes on. I wish I could just
Sure.
remember everything, but I
Sure.
know it does more than what I can even fathom. And the measurement it's in is like I think it's something by like cubic squares because it's a gas. So you have to measure it in like a space essentially.
Like the volume. You have to measure like the volume of it is what you're
Yeah.
saying. Okay.
And it's so rare on Earth. It was like 5 parts per cubic square. When you look at like other natural gases, it's like 300 parts. So right there,
Okay.
the supply is like, oh my God, minuscule. Then the demand is astronomical. So I'm like, holy crap, this is a perfect storm. Let me see if there's any companies out there. So I started doing some, research, blah, blah, blah. I'm going through different companies. I found a few, and the two that I picked, both of them were at all-time lows, which I love
Hmm.
because now I know I'm getting a deal.
Right.
Both of them had upside of like, all right, I'll just say it straightforward. They were both the one that I bought was under a penny at 0.0041. I bought 500,000 shares. It doesn't take a lot of money, and every time it pops, it goes to $1 or more. So I'm like, okay, if I could put 2,300 in here, pops to $1, I'm looking at best if I could get out using good volume, I can make at least 200 grand, give or take.
Yeah. Wow.
If my theory was right, which it
Sure.
wasn't right. I didn't get exactly 200 grand. I still made, excuse me, I still touched the six-figure mark. But
No, I saw.
yeah, yeah. But the thing with these stocks, they were extremely risky. So when you trade stocks like these, you need a lot of volume. And when I checked the volume on these, it was only $9,000. So for me to
Really
get in, yeah, for me to get in, I had to put so many limit orders because nobody was selling an asking price. Everyone had limits.
interesting.
Yeah, it took me a while to get into that stock, and it took me a while to get out. I actually could have made a lot more if I was able to sell my shares when I wanted to sell them. I would have made, almost double what I had posted. But that's the stock market for you.
So that is an interesting piece of the stock market where you have to have that direct other person or entity, we'll call it buyer or seller on the other side of your trade. You have to. Where for Forex trades, it isn't like that as much. If your broker can deal the volume, the main issue that I'm seeing, like if you're putting, at least with a Wanda, over 100 lots, sometimes they're making me close those orders 60 seconds apart. But other than that, I don't have to actually search for someone to take the
Yeah,
shares from me like you guys do. And also, I wanted to mention what was interesting is you placed this trade with Fidelity, right? That was the broker
I
you
did.
said you were
Yeah,
using.
yep.
So I mentioned to you, I was like, what about like Robinhood or Webull? Could we get it on there? I checked on Webull because I have a couple of $100 in there just for some stocks that I bought. Like I bought Virgin Galactic and Boeing a couple of weeks ago. And in Webull, you can't even buy those stocks, which is interesting too. So the volume on them overall, comparative to other stocks, must have been, I guess you would call it the shares in float, was very low. Is that correct?
Extremely low. And going back to the company that I had bought, the one that popped, I'm still holding the other one. I'll send it to you personally because I like you.
Yeah. I looked those two tickers up that you sent me.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the one on top, I believe, was the one that I
Yeah.
made.
That was
The
the one
other
that you already traded.
Yeah, the other one I'm still holding because it's helium. I see huge demand for it in the future. But anyways, going back to it, when I found those stocks, like I said, the volume was at 9,000. I'm like, shit, how the hell am I gonna get into this stock with the amount that I want? Fortunately,
Right.
it worked out in my favor. Two, they didn't even have their market cap public, so I didn't even know what this company was valued at. It was like such a risky play for me, but
So why
you
did
know,
it pop?
I wish I could tell you. I wish I could.
Really?
Yeah.
There was no catalyst that you could find. It just popped.
No, and actually, it's so funny 'cause last night I was looking like, what is going behind this? Google and Netflix were huge buyers of it.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and it's crazy because I posted it on Friday or Thursday talking about, oh, I'm looking at helium, looking at helium, blah blah blah. I'm looking
I
at a few.
saw that. I saw that.
Yeah, yeah, and then on Monday market open, it does 1,000% increase, and I'm like sitting on my
Crazy.
laptop, yo, come
How'd
here,
you
like
feel when that How'd you feel when that happened?
I wet my pants.
Dude, I can only imagine because there's no way because if you don't even know what caused it, it's not like you were looking for some news event to come out that morning or some press release. You just woke up to money.
Yeah, I woke up, I checked it, and um, it was up like in the pennies. I'm like, hold on, I'm looking at the wrong stock. Pull out my laptop because remember I bought it under a penny. I'm like, I'm
Right.
looking at the wrong thing. This is incorrect. I'm refreshing. As I'm refreshing, it's doubling, tripling, quadrupling. I'm like,
Oh man, that's
somebody.
crazy.
Yeah, I'm,
So
I'm like,
it's interesting too to just I want to be like I think it's important to differentiate the types of speculation too, because a lot of people that are going to listen to this, they're going to be trying to differentiate in their head, like how is this different than the active trading stuff that they see you doing, sometimes me doing with my videos and stuff. I think you have to look at it just as different types of speculation. Everything is risk reward, right? When we're talking about putting money on the line, it's always risk versus reward. How much do I have to risk to go make potential gains? The upside in this trade that you were looking at was huge, like you were saying, and it paid off clearly. Very little downside, right? So with setups like that, I think you have to keep in mind different markets, different nuances, and that's why in certain situations, looking at speculation from different angles is good. Being able to trade actively in Forex and also go do something like this, trade actively equities and go do something in options, being able to go across different markets, I think
yeah.
makes you a more well-rounded investor, don't you think?
That's why I'm so big on being financially literate. I'm so big on
Right, you always
understanding.
say that.
Yeah,
Fundamentals.
I'm so big on understanding how an economy works. Because the
Yeah,
moment you figure out how money and an economy works, you could apply that to any financial instrument and you could
yeah.
find value. When you could find value, you could return value to yourself. And that's what I feel that I'm able to captivate on. Because in all honesty, when it comes to margin trading, I'm not the best. I've made money, yes. I've been able to pay my bills for 6 years now, but I'm not over here buying Lamborghinis because of my margin trading. But
Right.
when it comes to value investing, I've hit six-figure trades. This is my second one now. First one was back in 2017. I didn't play it quite right, but my brain saw something. There was a fire in me. And now, come 2020, I was presented with the same
Now it's paying
opportunity.
off. Yeah.
Exactly, same opportunity, different.
What is it that like stuck out to you that you see? Is it just reading value-based risk reward opportunities? Is that where you think your skill really is?
I see what's
That's a
important. I see
okay.
what's important, and I see when I say important, I see like I mean like what use does this have in real world applications?
Application. Yep.
And if it has high use, I'm
Yep.
going to break that sector down because I'm going to find where I could be in that market to participate in the usage.
So now how do you compare this to gold or silver? I don't know if you compare it to Bitcoin because crypto is not a commodity, but let's
Yeah.
compare it to other commodities in the sense of like silver to me has huge upside potential. Like I
So
think within 10, you know what I mean? I think silver will be over $100 an ounce when I have kids, you know what I mean? And that'll be something that I could say to them. We were
yeah,
talking about it at $14 an ounce, kid. You know what I mean? Like I wish my dad was saying that to me about gold when he was my age. When he was my age, gold was like 40, $50 an ounce. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
crazy.
So that's how I look at it. Do you think helium is a potential for like that type of an investment? Is that how you're looking at the trade that you're still holding, or are you looking for another pop and you're looking to bounce?
I think it's bigger.
You
I
think
think
it's
it's bigger.
bigger
Yeah,
because it's scarce?
because it's so rare. It is like 10 times more rare than gold. So
Really?
like shifting the conversation just a little bit, let's stay in commodities,
Please.
but shifting, you brought up
Sure.
gold and silver. A
Yeah.
nugget that I would have to give to you and all your followers and everybody watching this is
Yeah.
it's almost mandatory to have gold and silver. But it's
Right.
like when and what do I buy? I
Right.
always go by a rule of thumb of checking the gold to silver ratio. And if no one knows what that is, all it is it measures how much ounces of silver it takes to buy an ounce of gold. And if you go through history back in like 2000 or whatever, the average was about 50 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. And we're sitting at about double that at 100.
Wow. Where do you see
So
this?
you can go on TradingView. You
Can
can
I
you can type in silver and
got
gold
it?
ratio. Yeah, and
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, it's at 96.3 right now. It was up
okay,
to 128 back in March.
exactly. So if you want to know what to buy, every time it goes into the 90s, high 90s, you need to be buying silver hand over fist every time
Why do you
because
say
it
that?
always finds an average. The average is
Hmm.
supposed to be around 50 ounces of silver to gold. Just scientifically, how it's mined, the production load of what's coming out of the
Sure.
ground,
Sure.
that that's the reasonable ratio. And we're so overshot on that I believe silver is such a better buy at the moment. Don't get me wrong, I'm still a gold bug. I have tons of gold and I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to keep buying gold.
Mm-hmm.
But for newcomers, look at the silver to gold ratio and always gauge it. If we're in the hundreds, you need to be buying silver. I believe, I did the math a couple of days ago, and if we just go back to like 40 to 1, we're looking at an $80 silver per ounce. So if we just go
Wow.
back to the average, silver is doing like a Forex. And that's money, that's just seeing value right there. You need to be able to see the value.
So, dude, that is a lot of good information right there. So, dude, it is. I appreciate you sharing that. So now, someone said to me this two directions I want to go, but I want to stay around
Yeah,
this topic.
yeah, yeah.
Said silver was $50 an ounce, $40 an ounce back, but when it was because
Yep.
it was more in need. It was needed more then. How do we go about doing the research, you and me and everybody listening, to prove to ourselves? Because no one's going to just believe you or me for saying it. I hope. I hope they will do their own research. But how do we
Yeah.
go about it to prove that silver is actually going to be used more in the future? That's what would increase its value. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what I like to do is, all right, well, just a side note, copper is going to be, in my opinion, highly used in the future. But
Really?
anyways, yeah, it's in a lot of the wiring for almost everything because it conducts heat and
Electricity
transmits
well.
electricity so well. Yeah, I love coppers. Aggressive play though, very aggressive. But
Sure.
sticking to silver right now, I think that they just need to back up and just see where silver is utilized. It's in cars, it's in motherboards for computers, it's in so many things.
Right.
Whether they want to see it or not, we all know we're headed towards a digital era.
And I feel like silver's used in all that technology stuff. So that's why to me, I think it only can increase. So,
Along with
okay, good. So now back to the gold to silver ratio. When that comes back down, because when I'm looking at a monthly chart of it, it's been steadily rising 2012, 2013, 2014. As that increases, now up from, let's just say it was at like the 30s and 40s back then, now up over at one point over 120. What that
yeah.
means is that the price of gold is going up, the price of silver is coming down. So as this gold to silver ratio comes down, the price of silver would go up. And would that also drop the price of gold, or no? Can gold still
No.
get more expensive?
Okay, yeah, so they actually still move in tandem, but in
Okay.
comparison to one another, that chart just shows which one's going to move more aggressively. So back in, oh man, I wish I still had the screenshots. Um, I want to say
The
back.
lowest this went was April 1st, 2011. The gold to silver ratio was 31.
Yeah, I'm almost kind of concerned that there might be a new average, but let's find
Hmm,
out what the average may be. What if it's 80 to 1? And that'll
right.
still, slingshot silver's at least it's close to its all-time highs. That's
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, gold to me is a hard buy. So like today, I put on my Instagram story, I was talking about like I want to put some more money into gold and silver, right? So, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, because of how much you're paying over spot price, the premium that you're paying on these websites, it is important to shop it around for sure and see. And I have found a couple of good websites. And for everybody that's still watching, I can put the links to a couple of the sites that I found, not sponsored by them and anything, but just so you guys can have some solid references because I bought from them and that I know at least they ship you the stuff. I can't feel good about buying gold. Like just looking at the chart because it's high. And I've been bullish gold since May of 2018 when it was at 1270. I've been bullish saying this is going to go to 2000. But this is where I struggle. I look at gold at 18 and I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, this is at 1800. This is great. Is this a great place to buy? Well, if it goes to 2500, I'm going to say, yeah. If it goes to 5000, I'm going to say, yeah, fuck, I missed the train. But
Yeah,
where's the pullback? When are we going to get that pullback? Where I look at silver and I see this upside potential on the chart because of where it's been. I see something that it's already shown me it can go to. We've pulled back, and now let's see if we can. What do you think about that? Is that stupid to think? Because, like, look, if you thought like that, you would have left a shit ton of money on the table in Apple and in Amazon, right?
sure, yeah.
But
And I
stocks are different.
could say that I did leave a shit ton of money on Apple and
So did
Amazon
I.
because
So did
it
I.
sucks. It sucks.
Yeah,
It sucks.
yeah.
But no, you're 100% right in saying that. I mean, but at the end of the day, gold has the greatest track record, so you can never dismiss that. It's been around for
Right,
before my generation, before everything. So at
right.
the end of the day, when I'm buying gold, even though it's a little bit, it may seem overvalued. I know that it's not. I know what it stands for. I know that it's fighting against inflation. I know I'm protecting my wealth. I know so many things for every ounce that I buy.
Sure.
And
That
it just
makes sense,
feels
especially
safe.
with everything going on right now, right?
Yeah, I feel safe. One thing that I could say, another nugget for you guys, if you want returns, get into gold mining stocks because remember, find value. If gold increases and gold mining stocks revenue is generated through increase in gold prices, who's going to move harder? The stocks. Smaller market cap, smaller market. More demand,
Give
higher
us some
price.
names, man. Give us a name.
Um, I like. It's hard to. There's so many. I like to stick with
There's a
a
lot of
fund.
them, really.
Yeah, yeah. I
Can you
like to
buy
stick.
ETFs of this? Can you buy a fund of gold mining stocks?
Yeah, I stick with funds. So you have the GDX, and then you have
Is
the
that all like
GDX.
Vanguard?
I use my Fidelity.
Fidelity can do the same thing.
Yeah. So you have the GDXs. Those are like the mainstream ones. But the one that
Hmm.
I'm really on is Peter Schiff's. Actually, it's
I love
EPGFX.
Peter Shift.
It's 2,500 a share, but his I know for a fact his workers have picked the best gold mining stocks and best gold companies to be in to
Yeah,
position yourself for the upcoming swing in gold. Because when gold moves, let's say gold moves 20x, those mining companies are gonna move 40. You know, that's where the money's
damn,
gonna be made.
interesting.
That's where the fun
It
is.
is this a better way, like for someone like me that doesn't, because I don't do stocks seriously and I don't do any ETFs right now or nothing like that. I have nothing, no money in there. Is this
Yeah.
something where like you would look at this separately from owning the physical gold? Because I own physical gold. I own so this is a separate diversification because
For sure.
like you said, the gold's the mining stocks could go up more than the value of the gold could go up itself
Yeah.
in
Yep.
theory, right?
Yep. So
Interesting.
you are exposed to more volatility with the stocks. They are a bit riskier. So everybody, do your own research. Do
Of
what
course.
you feel is best. I'm saying what I'm doing, and I'm going through history, and I'm seeing what has worked. And for the past, every time gold has ran, the GDX, all these other gold mining funds and companies have ran harder. So I'm just positioning myself for an upcoming run again, and that's all I'm
Yep.
gonna do. You know,
So now how does this play into the political stuff that's going on right now? How does this, because to me, somebody like I think a lot of people that are making a little bit of extra money right now, not the people that are collecting unemployment, but the people that have some spare cash, it's almost concerning because you don't know where to put it. So
Right.
instead of us talking about how stupid it is that they're paying people $600 extra per week to be unemployed, let's focus the conversation first, at least, on how do we, as people with a little bit of extra cash, preserve the value of that money? That's really what I'm thinking about. Do you have any thoughts on that?
You know, just it's crazy that it's just going to keep going right back to gold and silver. That's the only way to
That's it,
preserve.
right?
That's the only way to preserve it. That is
Not
it.
Bitcoin. Don't put too much in crypto.
I have enough crypto. It's very volatile. The problem
It
is
is.
too correlated to the stock market. Look at all the
Right.
updates on the S&P and look at all the updates on BTC. They're together. That's not supposed
Mm,
to be the case. So I
right.
backed off a little bit. But I gotta say, last week in my personal Telegram chat and on my Instagram story, I put up talking about alts. Alts are ready to move. Now look, they're all up. So
Yep.
not only did I have the helium, I also had a copper play and the altcoin plays. You know, I had over 100% on VeChain. You know, XRP went from 17 to 20 cents. You had a lot of alts move very
What
volatile.
told you that the alts were going to move?
I looked at them on a monthly perspective in comparison to BTC. So when you compare them to BTC, it's like comparing silver to gold. You could see when that ratio was gonna find that average, find that mean. And last
Hmm.
time we found this mean that we're at for alts against BTC was back in 2017 before the run. So we're
Hmm.
approaching the exact level. If you want to pull it up on your trading view, go ahead. You could just type in like, I don't know, Litecoin BTC or XRP BTC, and you'll see the levels they're all approaching. These are all 2017 pre-bull market
I see
levels.
it. I see
And
it.
it's value. You just all I'm doing right now is finding value. I want to find cheap things and buy as much as I can. That's all I do. And it pays out every time.
What do you think about my Virgin Galactic play? I was in at 15.95. It's at 19.40 right now. I mean, that thing popped when it originally popped up to $42. Now, I think that that's a stock that could be the second or third place behind Tesla and SpaceX as things go forward. And you can't buy any shares of SpaceX right now because it's not a public company.
Yeah.
So I put some money into this just thinking I like the Indian guy who runs it. I don't know how to say his name. He started a company called Social Capital. He runs the company now with Richard Branson. His name is Chatma, I think is how you say his last name. He's on CNBC a lot. Dude, he's a fucking genius. I'm like, this.
Yeah.
I don't care what he says. I'm gonna listen to him because he just
Yeah.
sounds smart, kind of thing. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? He's one of the
literally. Literally.
for real. But what do you think about this one? Do you have any thoughts on like the future of air travel? Because I feel like the future of travel is something that I always think about because the rich people are always going to want to spend their money doing something.
Yeah. I wish I had. You know, I don't like speak on things I don't know much about because I
Mm-hmm,
feel like if you don't know, don't speak.
mm-hmm.
In
Fair.
terms of that company that you brought up, I don't know much, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna bite my tongue. But
sure.
if you just shift the conversation a little bit to air travel, I see huge value but that's more of a decade kind of play. I don't see it
Sure.
happening within the next 2 to 3 years.
That's my thought on Boeing. That's why I bought shares of Boeing when it was at like I said, like 180, just because I think the rebound on that, the potential upside on that to me is worth the risk of sitting on it for a couple of months while we deal with this coronavirus because Boeing's got government contracts. These companies that are linked in with the government, I feel a little bit safer. You know what I mean?
You took the words right out of my mouth. We are in a controlled economy, and when
Yeah.
I
Oh
mean
yeah.
you have central banks, central like the Federal Reserve, backing
Mm-hmm.
these gigantic companies. So it's like you almost cannot lose. You only
You can't.
lose, yeah, you only lose when the dollar goes to shit, which is bound to happen with all this printing and all this buying up of assets and all monetizing debt.
100%.
Not a sustainable system, period.
So what about
So
Joe Biden saying that he wants to end shareholder capitalism?
I
That
didn't
was
even.
yesterday. Yeah,
Wow.
yesterday, CNBC, bro, for real. Like that's the scariest thing in the world, bro. Like I'd leave. I've said to Riley today, I'm like, I'm dead ass serious. If he wins, and especially if I heard that the Democrats are going to try to have him win and then step down and let somebody else. That is the biggest
That's
feisty
yeah,
sham. That would never fly, bro. And I
yeah.
think Kanye is going to pull votes from the Democrats and Trump's going to win again. I'm almost hoping for that
Me
because of
too.
Joe Biden saying he wants to end shareholder capitalism. Like, what the fuck?
The only problem is, I would say about 80% of people don't even understand how much of an impact or what that would even do
They have no
to.
idea.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem.
Actually,
It's
what's worse is they think they know. They think that when they hear shareholder and capitalism, those buzzwords, and they're, let's just be honest, they're average Americans, 50, 60K a year. They're like, those guys make too much money. They make more money. They don't need to make all that capitalism. They hate it. A lot of
yeah,
more and more people are hating capitalism now than I think ever. And I think that literally this country was founded like in the industrial revolution that pushed our country ahead of every other country in the world was pushed forward through capitalism. So how can you sit here now and turn around and spit on the hand that just fed you?
yeah,
It's crazy.
exactly. Capitalism was what made America great, and us shifting out of that environment, which we are in a Keynesian environment. And if you guys don't
Right.
know that term, look it up. It's
Yep. I
actually
had to
what's
look it up. I had to get educated.
yeah, it's actually what's taught now to all these financial people. So they're teaching this failing system of Keynesian economics. But if you go back in history, when America thrived, we were on an Austrian
Yep.
economic based system.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that is free markets. That is capitalist at its finest. That is when small businesses and an average person can actually make it up without having to compete with central banking controlling and
It's a plutocracy now where
it is.
the government is controlled by the biggest businesses. It's
Yeah.
very, very clear. And now the thing that they're saying, dude, there's just so many things that where I was excited to talk to you about all this stuff. This was another one. They said that the loans over 2 billion or 2 million are going to be forgiven. All the big loans, they're just going to forgive. All the loans that they just gave out to the banks, they're going to just forgive. Dude, they're going to make a documentary about this in 5 years, 10 years, and they're going to be like, the banks stole $6 trillion and got away with it. All the big corporations stole $6 trillion and got away with it, while
Yeah.
Americans, really are eating this shit. When they're telling everybody to close the businesses, it's crazy, bro. It pisses me off. It is
Yeah.
literally shitting on capitalism in front of all of us.
You know what I have to say, man? What we have now, oh man, there's this beautiful quote that I said. It was a while back, but it's like ringing in my head. So for the small people, we have individualism, basically where you're on your own. If you go bankrupt, you're bankrupt. But if you're a large company, we got you. So it's like individualism for the small people and socialism for the big people, where they're
It
always
doesn't make
back.
any sense.
Yeah, they're trying to make the small individuals fail, meanwhile backing the large people,
It
and
should be
that's
the
what
opposite. If
exactly.
anything,
Yes.
if we're going to pick a way, it should be the opposite. The big, yes, like I do think all these companies that are going bankrupt, they should go bankrupt. A lot of them, they should go under. They need,
Yes.
that is the natural cycle
That
of
is,
business.
yes.
Not every business is going to survive every crisis. That's not the way you run an economy. You let them fail, you let them be bought out, you let the management change, and somebody that will build cash reserves, build a plan for the future, and be ready for something like this in the future will now step in and run that company. I think a
Yep.
lot of the companies are being exposed. They're standing naked. Like it's the Warren Buffett quote, when the tide comes out, we see who's swimming naked. You see the companies that weren't sitting on cash, that weren't planning for a rainy day. Now, again, this is a pretty big storm. I won't lie. You have to acknowledge the fact like airlines are at 80% capacity and shit like that. I definitely acknowledge that. But I think that there has to be another answer other than going to the government saying, please just give me something, help me,
Yeah. You know what's funny? You said that all these companies, they don't have reserves, they don't have proper balance sheets, and they're just not
Mhm.
set up for circumstance that we have today. But honestly, I would take that even further. I would say almost every single American is not. You
Well,
know,
dude, that's my question. Like I hear these statistics about these people that, and I agree with you, that they don't have any money in savings. They aren't built for stuff like this. And so what are they doing right now other than collecting unemployment? Nothing. They're being incentivized to not work to the point where there's a big majority of them now actually making more money, not
stay.
having to work. They might even be building a little bit of a savings nest because they put out statistics from the big banks here in the United States, at least. Savings across the board were up. People were taking this money that they're making, either still working or from the government, and they're saving it. They're not even spending it now. So it's almost going backwards. Whereas you could be incentivizing people to go back to work, paying them a small bonus to get back into the office, to put a fucking mask on if they want to. It's your choice. It should be your choice. Put a mask on and go back to work. You know what I mean? That's how
Yeah,
I feel.
I totally agree with everything you said, and I was going to say that The problem, yeah, they're saving, which is fine, but remember, at the end of this game, savers are punished. Period.
Punished, bro.
Put $1,000 away right now.
Slaughtered.
Exactly. If you put $1,000 away right now, come back in not even a decade. Come back in 3, 4 years. That thousand will not be the same thousand you put away. It'll look the same,
Hell
but it won't
no.
be the same. If you put 1,000 of gold away and you come back 5, 3 years from then, that gold will look the same, but it'll buy a heck lot more than the $1,000 would.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. I
saving
feel like,
is a broke mindset to me.
oh, I agree. I think the only savings that Riley and I keep is our emergency fund. The rest of
Yeah.
the money is either in the business or it's in our investments. You know, we
My,
always have our operating cash and our reserve fund for the business, and then the rest of it is in investments. There's no
yeah.
reason to be sitting on cash today. It's like the worst time in history, if anything, to be sitting on cash. As
Yeah.
much as people want to take out money and put it in their safe and stare at it all the time. Dude, I'm that guy. I love looking at I
Yeah.
love looking at money. You would not
Yeah.
know it through my Instagram and my social media that I love money as much as because I never post about it.
Yeah.
I'm that guy, and I'm resisting that urge because I know that cash is literally garbage as soon as it touches my hand and it goes into a safe. It's losing value every day that it sits there, every day.
Yep.
So it's way better for us to be having these conversations, opening people's minds to how do I go set up a Bitcoin wallet and get some money into Bitcoin, even if it's just starting that conversation for them. I think it's a good bet to be in. And I still stray away from stocks, bro. I still say there's too many other, like you and I have talked about a couple of them, the helium, the copper. There's still a lot of good opportunities out there
Yeah.
elsewhere other than stocks. Like I had somebody ask me about Tesla today. It's at 14, it's over 1400 right
Oh,
now.
don't even tell
Dude,
me that.
the whole world must be trying to short this stock, right?
Oh my God. The problem is, how are you going to short against central bank buying pressure? It's impossible. You're going to lose.
It's like the most fucked up problem ever. So the
It
stock
is.
goes up because the Fed is buying it. The Fed is pumping all the stock prices, right?
Yeah.
Equity values are basically, like you said, controlled by the Fed.
They're actually
Tesla has a
they're buying corporate bonds. So all these
corporate
corporations are
bonds,
buying
right?
private bonds. The Fed's buying it.
So, and then when I hear that, my brain says, okay, if the Fed owns your debt, the Fed owns you. The
Yeah.
Fed
Oh,
owns that, right?
100%. Well,
Right.
exactly. So the Fed is getting everybody stuck on this drug called debt. And then
Right.
they're feeding that drug called debt. And it's just putting shackles on everybody and being a slave to the system. Period.
Right. And then I think what's confusing to people about things like Tesla, the things that confuse me about the stock market right now, Tesla goes up, you know people are wanting to short it, but the Fed keeps buying it. How does that eventually end up playing out? Does it collapse because of the velocity of the rise, or does it just even out and just stays at a high share price? Like it's very tough to call. And on top of that, the company itself just recently, in the last couple of years, I believe, not its whole existence, started posting profits. So they're not even a profitable company for a long
Yeah.
time so far. You know what I
So
mean?
hear me out. Hear me out. This is going to be a new concept in a sense. It's going to
Dude,
be very. This is one that I gave a lot of thought to, a lot. So, companies are valued in U.S. dollars, correct?
yes,
So,
yes.
dollar crashes. These companies' valuations in terms of dollars are going to quadruple. They're going to go up astronomical. And what I think is going to happen is we're going to have asset inflation. Not that we already are experiencing asset inflation, but I'm talking about hyperinflation. I think the all these companies, instead of having a gigantic stock market crash, we might have an asset valuation of a hyperinflation that to the point where nobody can afford it. And it's really just for the rich.
Hmm,
And just
that
eradicate the
sounds
middle
interesting.
and just eradicate the small people trying to get involved. Because how can you get involved in equities when share prices are 10,000 a share,
Thousands. Yeah,
40,000
yeah,
a share, just because the
yeah.
dollar is shit. And I think that is a high possibility of what is to happen.
Dude, I wouldn't be surprised. That would throw everybody would be like, I didn't see that coming, but it makes sense. You know what I mean? That's what people would say if that happened. What,
Yeah,
why would the crashing dollar in that situation, if the value of the dollar is losing its value, if it's right now the dollar index is at 96, let's say that starts going to the 80s, to the 70s, to the 60s, to the 50s, why would that push the price of stocks up? Why would the stocks price that's tied to the dollar not fall with it? Why is it not directly correlated?
rule number one, if you want to see real value in stocks, compare it to real money, not US dollars. Compare it to gold. So look at the Dow Jones in comparison to gold. You'll find its true value. You'll see where it really is supposed to be valued. But to your question, When you look at it at US dollars, that's what it's valued at. Unfortunately, that's what it is. So if the dollar goes down, it's going to take more dollars to buy these asset prices. For instance, let's say a company with a market cap of 2 billion at today's current. If the dollar goes down, the amount of dollar denominated debt is going to be pushed more into that asset class, and its market cap is going to say 4 billion, 5 billion, 6 billion.
Makes sense.
That's to keep that company afloat because it takes more US dollars. But meanwhile, the dollar's shit and the dollar's going down. It's just artificially pushing the price of that company higher. You get
Do
what
you
I
think
mean?
we could see the dollar? Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. Do you think
Yeah.
we would see the dollar break 70? I mean, like that much of a crash? Do you think we could see? Because that's the lowest that I have it in 2008 is down in the 70s.
You know, I think that we could definitely see that, and I think we could even see it worse than that. If you just go through every single, we're not the first reserve currency. You know, we had
Of course.
about 4 or 5 countries before that had been the reserve currency, and the average is about 50 years that they
Right.
reigned in power. We're
Right.
going on 80, 89 or some shit like that.
Right.
We're near the,
Right.
we're near the
I've heard
tip,
that before.
and when we collapse, it's going to be disgusting. No fiat currency in history has ever succeeded. Ever. So I don't know where people are getting this conception that this time is different. It's not different. We're making the
I
same
don't know,
mistake,
bro.
and
It's
it's
such a
never
hard
worked.
conversation. You're
It
100.
is.
Like that is what you're saying makes perfect sense. It makes like it's history telling us what we should be expecting, and that's how I base all of my decisions. What did the past
Yeah.
teach us, right? But what
Yes.
if this time is different? What if the Fed never stops? What if it just keeps going and going
What's
and
happen
going?
is what's going to happen is your dollar. Well, we're already at the point where there's more $100 bills in circulation than single dollar bills.
Really?
That's a red flag right there. We're going to go to the point where stepping out.
Wait. That's crazy. That
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
There's
Okay.
more bills in circulation than single dollar.
Keep going. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We're going to get to the point where printing is so nonchalant that going outside and picking a leaf off of your tree will have
Will
more
be the
value.
same as a dollar.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
what's going to happen is, back to the first podcast we did, we're going to go to a new system, whether it's cashless, whatever it's going to be cashless, whatever you want to think it's going to be, it's going to be the reset. That might give them a whole new 20, 30 years of power again. Who knows? Nobody knows, but I could
It's
see
crazy,
that.
bro. It's crazy that we're gonna live through it because I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
I can't see it extending into when I'm 90 and I'm old and in a cane and what, right? Like I can't see us still having cash and that being the main denominated form of currency. It has to be digital. It has to be digital.
Yeah.
So
I actually saw a few. This is crazy. I'm sorry to cut you off. It's just crazy.
no, please.
I went into where was it? I think it was like a gas station. I made a stop really quick just to run into a store really quick, and it said no cash. They didn't have
Bro,
any
I
cash.
saw that. They don't want cash. I know.
No, that they literally don't have. They said like if you have spare change, please try to pay with cash because no one has cash. We're headed towards that for real, and it's a real scenario. It's a real thing. It's mind blowing to me. And
When I was driving
if you think about it, not our kids, but our kids, they are going to be like people walked around with metal tokens in their pocket and pieces of paper in their pocket. That's so like
right,
caveman.
bro. So who would
So
do that? Right, exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. Oh, you know who would do that? The government, the society that the government tried to control. They tried to keep everybody down by using that form of. Now you just have your money here and we just send it to each other. You know, that's how it's going to be. Exactly how you would send right through the phone, right through whatever. When the coin thing you were saying, when we drove down here, when we moved all of our stuff down to Florida, we saw it on the way here in the gas stations. It was saying, I don't want to quote it exactly. It was either don't use cash, use a debit card if you can. We're low on coins, I think is what it was. We're low on coins. Dude, like that's weird. That's but it's slowly getting everybody, even the old people that live out in the country that don't know what a video chat is still and don't have an iPhone, it's getting them even leaning towards the digital money digital monetary system, to get us all on that. One other thing I wanted to get your thoughts on. This is a Mark Cuban thing. He said his idea of re-stimulating the economy, and I love it, is we should give everybody debit cards and have everybody have $2,000 per 2 weeks on that debit card, and they have to spend it at a store or buying something. They can't take it out for cash, and they can't really use it for rent. They can use it for other bills, but not for their rent. It's got to go back into the economy in the sense of retail, in the sense of spending, consumer spending. I think that is a much smarter plan of trying to get everybody back on track to normal than the direction we're going. I think the direction we're going is a scary socialist thing.
The problem with that,
Yeah.
how do you stop it?
I don't know. You don't. That's the problem, bro. It's UBI. UBI takes over. If they win, they're going to put UBI in place.
What I mean on a deeper level than that. So if that was a real thing, everybody gets 2,000.
Sure.
They do it for 1 month. How do they just stop
Right.
the next month?
No,
How
they
do
don't.
they?
It's probably goes forever. Right.
Exactly. It's going to be a drug that you cannot get the addict off, and that will lead to a faster demise of the dollar. I believe it'll just speed
Absolutely.
up.
He even said, he was like, so, the Fed's already printing this much. Why stop? Just keep printing and give everybody money to spend. The problem is that everything is going to go up in price. Everything is going to go up in price.
Yes, 100%. That I think, you know what? At this point, it's inevitable. We're going to the end of the road. Fucking print it up. Go ahead, give it to everybody.
Bro, that's what it seems like the entrepreneurs are almost leaning towards. They're like, look, let's print it, let's get it out. But how do you keep prices down for the people that still don't have enough to spend?
No, you don't.
Don't.
That's impossible. It's impossible because the system that we have is inherently gauged for inflation, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Right.
It would
Always.
cause a runaway inflation that would make people not being able to afford milk. It would be a scary, scary.
The same thing in Venezuela. It's scary. But hopefully, dude, like maybe in the meantime, some crypto or some digital asset steps in and it's like, this is the future. Like maybe, like, dude, it's weird to say, but if Kanye West does build enough traction and if people do get behind him, I could see him pushing out some type of government-based cryptocurrency. But there's just no way that that guy is going to take down the system. There's no way that he's going to win, right?
I truthfully believe that all these government programs, yeah, we're in a recession. Yeah, we're in sticky water right now. But obviously, if you do the research, it's all staged. Call me what you want.
Sure.
The feeding of money to people is just getting their toes wet for UBI, like you said. I think it is really just letting us get comfortable with the idea of government aid for
handouts.
everything. Yes.
Handouts, socialism, bro.
They gave us a sample, but you can't take the sample away if people like it. They're gonna want more and more and more, and eventually it's just gonna be a complete system. It's gonna be the new system.
And it's gonna be, dude, it's gonna be, who do you want to wear a mask? Do you want a choice? Okay, you got to go live in a state where they give you a choice. Or do you not want to wear a mask, stay here, not have to work and get handouts? That's like this, like I'm being dramatic, but dude,
Yeah.
I want to just make sure we touch on this too, because we're coming to the end of it. I'm coming up on an hour here. I can keep going for a few more minutes, but I want to, because I need this in the video. I want to, yeah, I know, bro. But the COVID stuff, I want your opinion on so I posted this thing on my story for everybody listening. I had a friend of mine talk to a guy named Tom. Tom knows a girl who went and was supposed to have a COVID test. She slept in, missed the test, and I think it was 4 or 5 days later, she gets the test results back positive. Okay. I post that on my story. I hear that from Eric, my buddy who knows Tom, and I'm like, dude, that's fucking crazy. There's no way. I go and I post on my story about it just to see if I can get some feelers out, because I get like 1,500 to 2,000 views on my stories most of the time. So I'm like, let me see if 2,000 people can, someone give me some facts here. Like, is this happening? Dude, another girl, I sent you the screenshot, Bridget, she's another trader who works with us. She says she knows 3 guys that were supposed to go get tested. They all skipped the test and all of them got positive results back. What?
That's insane.
And then I know the only other story that I know for sure that I know this supposedly happened. Again, I'm not claiming any of this to be the 10 Commandments scribed in the stone, but this is what I'm hearing from reliable people that don't normally lie to me.
Yeah.
They heard, my buddy heard that this girl, she works as a nurse. I think he's dating her, was dating her, whatever. She got tested. Her test come back positive. Her whole floor, all the people that she works with, positive. They test everybody in the hospital. All of the tests are positive. Every test was positive. So she's like, this is weird. Let me send in a blank one. Her supervisor okays it. They send in a blank test. Open the pack, never stuck in somebody's nose, send it in, it comes back positive, bro. So I'm worried because of, we've seen this with voter fraud. We've seen this with so many other things where humans are humans. We make errors, we make mistakes, but we also have bad intentions. People are evil sometimes, and not genuinely, but they get emotional and they make bad decisions. And they are sometimes truly evil is the best word. So
Yeah.
now when we see spiking COVID numbers, death rates dropping, but lockdowns coming back, it's like, are we feeding COVID to just keep everybody suppressed? And when are people going to wake up and say, you know what, maybe Austin and Matt aren't conspiracy guys, maybe they're just asking questions that are kind of reasonable?
Yeah. You want me to get woo-woo? You want me to get conspiracy tinfoil?
I want your opinion, bro. I want to know, because that's what people want to hear. I want to hear it. We appreciate what you have to say. So what do you think of that? Because to me, that smells like fucking bullshit, bro. It smells like,
Everything you're saying and your suspicions are completely correct, but it's so much deeper. And I'm just gonna give a little hint so we could, keep this kind of going. But when you do research on Wuhan, the university where the COVID-19 strain came from, they were working on something called nanotech, and they are implementing nanotech into the vaccines. And in the nanotech, it sounds fucking sci-fi, crazy, stupid, I
I've
get it.
heard about this though. I know what you're gonna say. Yep.
In the vaccine, there's little nanotech, let's call them bugs. And these are supposed to go in your system, correct? And they're supposed to have neurologic effects. So it has to do with your nerves and your brain.
In your brain. Yep.
Now with the test, let's zoom out, let's back out of that topic for a second and go to the test now. What do they do for the test? It's a Q-tip the size of a 2x4, and they shove it down your nose. Now, if you look at the anatomy from the side and the sinus cavity, there's a blood barrier or some type of barrier that protects your brain from disease and infection and things getting in there. What they do with the test kit is they shove it down your sinus cavity, and it actually disrupts that barrier. It interferes and compensates with it. Now, when it's compensated, it is susceptible to nanotech. It is susceptible to disease and infection, to things getting into your brain to affect it. So let's back out of that now. How could we get people to be worried and have them get tested? Spike the numbers and tell them it's not as deadly, so they'll get tested and not be scared. But they want to get tested because everyone's getting it. So they're going and popping everyone's sinus cherry. Let's call it that. They're going
I hate it.
just shoving tampons in everyone's nose, popping their sinus cherry, making them susceptible for the vaccine that's bound to come out. And that's very tinfoil hat, but it just makes
Dude, there's no more tinfoil hats, bro. In my world, there's no more conspiracy. If you think that things are too conspiratorial, you're just not asking enough questions and you're being too close-minded.
Yes.
We're not, in all of what you just said, you didn't say this is exactly what's happening. I believe that. You just stated what you believe to be some facts that you found and some research you've done.
Yeah.
But people will get so defensive over that. And I think that's the enemy of where we will actually need to go to find the truth of what's going on. We need to hear all of these points. And nothing of what you said seems outrageous to me. I wouldn't be surprised if that was true, or at least if some of that was true. And I think that the part about it that concerns me the most is just taking away the liberties and the rights from human beings that we are supposed to have here in America. It's becoming something like of a very serious conversation, I think, for a lot of people, including myself and Riley, of like, hey, how much longer could we last before I really don't like living here? And we just moved to Florida, bro. It's fucking beautiful. We love it here. But how, like, with them, the governor or the mayor of St. Pete, where we live, he's a Democrat in a red state, and he tweeted today, go get tested. It's open here. It's free. No doctor. No, bro, I'm not going to get tested. You are not going to catch me getting tested. To the point where when we had to drive through this checkpoint coming into Florida, I got off the highway and I went around it. And then I ended up getting back on and still stopped in it because my friends told me that it wasn't there, but then they ended up opening back. Long story. We still got stuck in the checkpoint. I heard they were pulling people. Dude, they're pulling everybody over off the highway when you're coming down 95 into Florida, and they're asking you where'd you come from. And my car had Jersey plates on it, and I didn't want them to see that. but I still risked it and I still went through, and they said, where are you coming from? I said Pennsylvania, and they let me go. But for the idiots that go through that roadblock, that checkpoint, and they say, oh, I'm coming from New York, they pull you over and they test you and they make you fill out all these forms and stuff. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I was not running that risk. So that's why I tried to dodge it. But luckily we were safe and we didn't have to get tested. I really did. And I don't get why the liberals are getting so mad. Why can't, like, I was a liberal person. Why? I don't want to associate with them anymore. They're mad at people for not wearing a mask. They're mad at people for not getting tested. What happened to pro-choice? Y'all want to be pro-choice on some things, but you want to get mad at me for wanting my own rights with this. Oh, because I can infect old people. Dude, come on. Common sense. Look at the numbers. Like, just look at the numbers. The old people are not dying to an extent that should be causing this much economic disruption. 50 million people unemployed since this thing started. Come on, bro. It's crazy.
If you say you're liberal nowadays, you are left wing. If you hold if you hold an American flag, you're racist nowadays. If you're Republican, you're racist. Everything now is getting labeled. And
sensitivity, bro. It's the fluffy, pussified version of everybody. You can't even have a conversation of like, hey, bro, I disagree with you. I want to talk about this. I disagree, but no, bro. They get defensive. They don't want to talk about it. And that's that on both sides. That's not liberal or conservative. Everybody nowadays just gets defensive. You know what I'm saying?
You completely murdered that right there. I couldn't have said it better without trying to offend anybody. You know?
Good. Well, listen, I want to hop on because I do have that other call. He's actually messaging me now, but this is a good spot to end us so we can see how people feel about the COVID stuff. And if we got to come back, we'll do another one. I'm sure we're going to be doing another one soon, bro. And listen, if you get to Tampa.
That's what I was going to talk about.
Yeah, bro. Let's do it. Seriously. Make time to get here. Just let me know the dates.
I'm going for sure. I'm probably going to leave. I'm going to stop in Orlando, and then I'm going to stop in Jacksonville. I might hit Tampa on the way home, and we can work something out. And then I'm going to stop back in Orlando, and then I'm going to.
I need like 3 days notice, not even. Just give me a heads up so I can make sure I don't have any calls scheduled that day or anything like that, and we'll make it happen.
I'm going to go celebrate my win. I'm going to take some of that money. I'm going to go jet skiing and kayaking.
Dude, hell yeah. Good, dude. Yeah. You have to enjoy it sometimes. We're actually renting a boat next weekend. Riley's family's coming down, so we're doing the same kind of thing, renting a boat. It's going to be. I'm taking the boater's test so I can be an official Floridian with my boater's license.
Yeah, bro. Oh, people are gonna call you racist if you have a boat. Oh, he's white supremacist.
Where's your Trump flag, bro? It's like, dude, can you just leave me alone? Like, can I just get on my boat and like just spend my money and leave me alone, please?
Yeah, literally.
Cool. But listen, bro, I appreciate it. Everybody, YouTube audience, Matt and I always appreciate you guys sitting in for the hour and listening to us. We hope that you found some value. I'm gonna make sure to put Matt's contact info as always in the description of the video, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, brother.